Hello ladies and gentlemen, Vita here with the Untitled Game Show, back once again with more video game news, reaction, and discussion. And let's talk about QuakeCon 2015 news from Bethesda about Fallout Shelter. Yes guys, the Android version of the game finally has a release date of August 13th, 2015, and on that day you will begin some new features for the game both on Android and on iOS. The new features include stuff like new attacks, new enemies, including classics like the Deathclaw. And if you're a Fallout fan guys, you definitely know how powerful the Deathclaw is to take down, so that definitely will be a challenge for Vault dwellers. Next up, there will be new units like Mr. Handy, who will be able to collect resources for you, and Bethesda's Todd Howard actually let out a little quote from this statement from the company. We're going to be supporting Fallout Shelter for a long time. This is something we did on the side and we were blown away by the response. I'm surprised that they're blown away from it because guys, Fallout is a big brand. People have been waiting for new Fallout games for a long time, so I was not surprised that Fallout Shelter did good at all. I expected once I saw that game during the E3 press conference that this game was gonna blow up, and I'm not surprised at all that it has. And I can't wait to play it for you guys in the coming weeks on Android and show you guys how nice the game really is and show you guys some tips and tricks from what I've been playing on the iOS version. Next up guys, let's have a discussion about this topic, which is the question of the day. How would you change Xbox One's branding in Japan to prepare for the future? Let me know in the comment section below. Now let me get into the story and explain a little better. Xbox One currently in Japan is not doing very well. And the reason why this popped into my mind was earlier today, an article was posted on GameInformer.com which stated, Xbox One in Japan sales are abysmal. Yeah, and truthfully guys, it's 100% correct. The sales of the Xbox One in Japan right now for the last week are only 149 units. This compares to the PlayStation 4, which sold 15,000 units, the Wii U, which sold 10,000, and handhelds like the 3DS, which sold 21,000, even the Vita did 13,000. The Xbox One only did 149. Now, why would this matter to anybody in the UK or in the United States as gamers? Well, if you're an older gamer or if you're somebody young and who has some idea of how the game industry works, it's a global market, guys. Something that happens in other regions of the world definitely might affect you as well. So if Microsoft falls out of the console race in Japan, it will have effects later on in the video game industry. If Nintendo and Sony are the only two competing for the Japanese space, in the long run, I can see this actually hurt the video game industry as a whole because that's less competition and that's less reason to compete from these console manufacturers. The three pillars we have right now as console manufacturers are Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo, and their competition has made gaming better. And to the fact that Steam has become so powerful from the PC side of things by doing digital summer sales have pushed Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft to try to follow suit with the little tiny sales. Now Microsoft has already embraced sales for a long time. Sony has started doing it as well with their PlayStation Plus flash sales, and even Nintendo has done certain little sales from here and there. But the thing of the matter is, if Microsoft drops out of the console race in the future for when the Xbox 2 comes out or Xbox 720, whatever they will actually call it for the next Xbox One console, we're gonna have a problem if they don't actually compete in Japan, because that's just less competition for the global market as a whole, and maybe even the Asian region. There will be a price hike on systems and you might have to import Xbox One for the gamers if you want. Now, as somebody who actually really wants to visit and maybe even one day live in the Asian region like Japan, I would actually miss out very much if the Xbox One or next Xbox console was not available there as well. I own all the systems currently guys, and I would love them to be available to everywhere for all gamers. No fanboy stuff here to talk about guys. But if I was in charge of Microsoft, the only thing I could possibly think of right now to build a better brand in the Japanese market is exclusivities. They have the money, they need to snatch up these publishers, developers, and get them to work on exclusive Japanese title. They need to go over there and make a deal with Square Enix, Capcom, find the indie developers in Japan and get them to start making indie games specifically for their console, and let them be released first in Japan and then have a worldwide release later on. Make the Japanese market a signature place to develop a game again. They have the money to push this forward, and I wish they would do it. And if they did do it, that would be more competition for the Japanese market to get cooler and awesome games, because of course when those games get made over there, they're going to be exported all over the world as well, and I would love to see that happen once again, like we used to see in the NES in the early days when the console market, where everybody used to see a game come out in Japanese market first and we're fiending to get it over here as well. But now that Microsoft is in the running, we need the competition to stay strong between all three console manufacturers so that prices don't get hiked up, because if there's only one person to buy video games from, they're going to be selling it at whatever price they want to sell it from, and that's not going to be good. Because if the situation like this happens, I'm just saying, worst case scenario, guys, just hear me out now. Right now, the Xbox One is not doing too good. The next Xbox system comes out, Microsoft decides to not sell it in Japan. Sony's doing pretty good in Japan, so they're gonna release their system just fine. What if Nintendo, some reason, whatever the Nintendo NX comes out and it does abysmal, it doesn't sell good, it was a horrible system? That basically means that Sony rules the Japanese and the Asian market right there. And that is a negative thing, because they will be very much have a lot of power right there, and whatever decisions gets made over in Japan is definitely going to be affecting the rest of the world. Now guys, I love my PlayStation 4, I like my PlayStation Vita, and I'm not here on hate on Sony. I want them to fail. I want all these console manufacturers to be a three-pillar system, fight against each other, and I want the PC industry to keep on pushing on them as well. The harder they push, the more these competitions help us as gamers. The more sales we're going to see on Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, and Steam, and of course Nintendo will have to follow suit. Sooner or later they will have to embrace online in their video games console and fully, with voice chat, friend lists, all that great stuff that makes interacting with gamers online easy and fun to do. They're gonna have to compete with these sales that we're getting on other consoles if they're gonna want to compete. But if somebody gets knocked out of the race, that's less competition for all of us, and I see that being bad for gamers as a whole. And it only could start in Japan, and if one mess up in Japan just might make it mess up somewhere else before it spreads. You never know what can happen for the future. Just my opinion here, guys. How would you guys fix Xbox One in Japan? Me, it's exclusivities. Microsoft spending their monies on small indie developers and making deals with Capcom and Square Enix and publishers that are big in Japan and pushing out exclusive games. I know we all hate exclusive games as gamers sometimes, but from the business side of things, I do see why it happens. Share your own opinion in the comment section below. Vika here with the Untitled Game Show. Thank you guys for listening to me.